Welcome to Off the Scale, the podcast where we dive deep into the journeys of the world's top short-term rental property managers. Join us as we uncover their secrets to scaling success, from pivotal milestones to the lessons learned through mistakes and triumphs. Hosted by Scale family members Damien Sheridan, Jan Paolo Vieiro, and Louise Brace. Off the Scale reveals what drives these leaders each day and the indispensable tools that propelled them to the top. Tune in for inspiring stories, actionable insights, and the ultimate blueprint for scaling your own short-term rental business.
Hello and welcome to the Off the Scale podcast, where we interview some of the leading short-term rental property managers from around the world about their scaling journey. My name is Damien Sheridan, and today I'm delighted to have Sab Mulligan from Zzzing from Malta join us. Sab, welcome. Great to have you.
Thank you, Damien, so much. Really excited for this conversation and to speak to you. As you know, we're very big fans of scale.
Oh, you're too kind. So just to introduce Sab, their company is based in Malta. I'm going to allow her to talk about that and introduce the company in a second. Sab was speaking actually at the Scale conference we had recently in Barcelona. And we had so much positive feedback. We had to have you back. So Sab, over to you. Tell us a little bit about you, perhaps where you started and the Zzzing company, kind of properties that you guys typically manage, anything that you could share about the company.
Okay, fantastic. So as you said, we're based in Malta, Maltese Islands. It's a country in the European Union. I have been head of team with my focus greatly on guest experience now for the last 3 years. My background is humanizing brands, basically. So for me, I have always been very intrigued about hospitality. Right. So my background was never hospitality. I was new to the scene. I worked in tech companies. I worked at the National Theatre. I worked in real estate. But I love traveling myself. And I have always been very obsessed about short-term rentals and what that journey is. So when I met Bikram and the opportunity was presented to me to join the Zzzing team and really focus on humanizing short-term rentals, not just for Zzzing, but for me also for Malta, right? Because it was a relatively new playground for us. I thought this is the challenge definitely that I want. Very keen on internationalization as well. And that is in the pipeline for Zzzing. So that is how I ended up as part of this team. We started small, like all startups, right? So from 0 to 20, that was our hop. Then from 20 to 100, a bit of a leap. And now we're up to 250 and we'll be 350 by the end of the year.
Wow, so exciting.
So scaling is fast and fun.
So when did the Zzzing journey start then, Sab?
Oh, in the COVID year.
Okay. Oh, so
it was launched then. Yeah, so it was launched then by Bikram. Bikram is one of the founders. Zzzing is also part of a group in Malta as well. So basically, they came up with the idea of Zzzing because the company was investing in properties and they were looking for a property manager and they couldn't really find one who had the attributes which they were looking for. And we are a very tech-based company as well. And so locally, that was absent. So that was a bit of the game changer. They wanted to disrupt the local market and in comes Zzzing. Then in comes COVID. But there was a lot of learning for the company, obviously, during the times of COVID, and the trends of travelers also started to change. And I think there were some positives as well, basically, from COVID for the short-term rental industry as well, right? So that's the silver lining in what happened with COVID and the short-term rental journey. I think not just for Malta, for all players around the globe.
Yeah, for sure. So tell us, Sab, the short-term rental industry in Malta. A lot of people won't know that much about Malta. Beautiful island in Europe. But for those who are perhaps listening from further afield, tell us a little bit about Malta. What makes it so special and what kind of visitors maybe come to Malta?
So beautiful island in the sun, right? And that's what Malta is renowned for the most. Weather, we have 11 months of really great weather, sun, sea, fun, Mediterranean, strong history, beautiful culture. We're known for being a very friendly nation. We've always been a hotel destination, though. And so before I joined Zzzing, what I was very curious about was how we are positioning ourselves for travelers who are looking for a holiday home, who want to live like a local, who don't just want to come to stay in Malta because they want to be in a resort, for example, or just want to go to the beach. But what if there's something more to it? I was very keen on like the traditional Airbnb traveler, like when they're coming to Malta, are they scratching that itch, basically, you know what I mean? And so I was also very interested to understand what our collection of short-term holiday homes is looking like. Because at that point in Malta, when Zzzing started, if you have a second home, and again, not just Malta, probably everywhere, whatever it looks like, no matter what the furniture, kind of in what state it is, just like put it on the market, launch it on Airbnb or any other channel, and you'll be making money. And in Malta, very organically, right? Because tourism is a pillar of our economy. So we're very lucky. But I mean, there's so much to that, right? What about brand Malta? What about product Malta? What are we doing to really make our holiday homes not just look good, but feel good? And how can we transform the term property management into hospitality? And the more events I join, I think that this is a common problem throughout, basically. It's a challenge throughout. We talk about property managers, and there's a big mind shift that needs to happen. We're not property managers, we're players in the hospitality space. And as soon as you realize the power you have to really influence the traveler's journey, their few days here, and as soon as you start to appreciate that they're choosing Malta, they're choosing Zzzing in our case, they're spending their holiday time here, they're celebrating, they're coming here for a reason, then you start feeling the responsibility of having a stellar guest experience, which is different than hotels. Or in my case, I really believe it should be. Yeah. And so in Malta, that wasn't happening at all. And I really believe that we are major players in starting conversations for us to really think of short-term rentals differently here.
Mm-hmm. You said it was traditionally more of a hotel destination, and perhaps maybe it still is. How has that change developed over the last few years? Are homeowners kind of quite open to this now, you taking on board their properties? Are guests now, is it beyond no alternative kind of accommodation? Is it something that many people are now looking for when they go to Malta? Tell us maybe how it is now in comparison to perhaps other countries in Europe that perhaps have had a more established STR industry over the years.
Yeah, well, as well, because it's also, right, a startup journey of Zzzing. And in the beginning, we were very obsessed to be hotel-like, from an operational point of view. And again, in our last scale event in Barcelona, I was meeting a lot of like-minded property managers in this space who are just want to be like a hotel when it comes to preventative maintenance and cleaning protocols. Again, cleaning protocols because of COVID, more and more. So we want to be like a hotel. But my challenge to that is always but why should we be like a hotel? Like the traveler choosing us rather than choosing a hotel, what are their expectations? And it's not just finding the hotel standard, right, that we all know and love, because they would just go to a hotel if they just wanted that. So also trying to identify what the traveler's minimal expectations are for this space. Now, Zzzing was the first company in Malta to introduce a home stylist in our team. So our idea there was that not just we want to style our properties so they look nice on our OTA channel partners, but the challenge is the consistency. So how can guest 1 and guest 241 experience the same property? And that's a challenge which we continue to live through. It's not easy because, again, psychologically, right, we're always very happy when we're launching a new property, a new home. But then what happens after the first guest leaves? When the frames are moved and the carpet is stained and the light bulb just isn't working, So there's the operational side of it, but also the feeling of a home. Because like you asked me, type of travelers coming to Malta, is it more alternative? Like we're very lucky in Malta that we have these beautiful little villages scattered all over the island, and they're so traditionally Maltese, right? And sometimes I think in Malta's tourism journey, we're trying to be very cosmopolitan. And so with Zzzing, we're to be different and saying, come to Malta to experience the real Malta, whether it is waking up at 4 in the morning to go to a traditional bakery, right, to see how Maltese bread is made, or whether it is our sunset and sunrise and trekking. And so don't come here just because it's a pool, hotel, resort destination, but come and walk through our long, narrow streets, live like a local, and see good, bad, and quirky of our islands.
To really get a flavor of the experience.
Really get a flavor, yeah. Especially because of low-cost airlines, right? In Malta and in other islands all over the Med as well, right? People mindset of a traveler isn't like what it was before, when they used to actually plan for a trip and research that destination. They just say, where are we going this weekend? Oh, Malta, let's hop on a plane because it's like 20 sterling, yeah. 30 euros, whatever. Then they land here and they say, now what?
Yeah.
And again, back to like what my passion subject is, right? Guest experience, to be able to curate a journey for these travelers, whether they are traveling for business or whether they are a couple exploring the island or a family trip. That makes it really special. To make it memorable for travelers, you know, I think that is what we're trying to do in Malta, and hopefully in other areas soon.
Oh well, we'll wait.
Maybe.
You talked about memories. Something I'm really intrigued about by your company and brand is the name of your company, because
Zzzing.
Obviously you could have gone down, you know, Malta short-term rentals or something like that, which would be a lot more traditional. However, we also know that a lot of guests, when they stay in an Airbnb, what they remember is they stayed at an Airbnb. They're going to remember Zing. So for those of you who are who don't know of Zing, it's spelled ZZZ or ZZZ.
Yeah.
Tell us where that came from and how you perhaps developed that as a brand for your guests to remember.
Yeah, and how we're still developing it as a brand, because again, it's a long journey that has no end, right? So with Zing, I wasn't part of the team yet when they came up with the name. Okay, but story goes that through a number of different brainstorming sessions, they said, one, we really want to stand out, we want to be different, memorable, right? So not just the typical, like you're saying, like Malta short term or Malta holiday homes or nothing like that. From the beginning, the ambition of the team was to have basically a virtual hotel-like collection of holiday homes across a number of on the island and a number of countries as well. So they didn't just want to tie it to Malta. And someone mentioned the ZZZ of when you're sleeping, a restful, peaceful sleep. So it started there. Then we continued to develop it with taking that to the next level, and we say amazing, right? So whether we want your trip to be amazing, or the whole journey of your booking process to be amazing, or your celebration to be amazing. So that's the route we're taking now. So even in our properties, we leave like mirror affirmations or just like notes on the fridge, have an amazing stay, or, oh, you look amazing today. And so making Zing memorable is part of how kind of we sprinkle it throughout a guest experience journey now. Again, there are lots of things that we're rolling out this year, which are just like tests, right? Because we're flirting with guests all the time with these little ideas. And obviously you start learning on like what's too much, what goes down well, like for example, something I have to do by the end of the year is challenge the welcome hamper that we all talk about. You know, it's like plugging in an idea. Someone once said, put in a nice welcome hamper. Okay. And a lot of property managers did that. We did that as well. But two things there, right? You can't just plug it in and leave it there. You need to test. So one, do people really like what you're putting there? Two, is there a local flavor? Is there a local touch? Is there anything homemade? And three, as well, what are they taking home with them which doesn't seem too commercial, but is a takeaway of Malta that they actually want to keep or show. So with the welcome hamper, we're changing things a bit. Like something that we're going to test is rather than one welcome hamper, well, is like having different items delivered to a property at different times of the stay. So, for example, after night one, you'll get traditional Maltese snack. It's called Twisties. It's like a cheeky snack for your first night. So same value financially. Now, operationally, I'm not a favorite because it gets different, right? It's challenging. But this is how you really leave a mark in a person's heart, I think. And this is sometimes, I think, what a lot of big brands tend to miss in the scaling journey. How are you making people feel today?
I've never heard of A/B testing when a welcome hamper or products are going to be delivered to your guest. That's something very innovative. So you're clearly constantly thinking of the experience, the in-stay experience, right? And the hospitality that you're providing.
For sure. Like, what do you give female or male who has like absolutely everything? Like the most delicious bottle of champagne is definitely not going to impress them either. So it's beyond the price budget, the price point of our hamper, right? And so we tried it with like a traditional Maltese ftira. This guy was coming to Malta. He always books our properties. He's like, doesn't need our twisties or our small bottle of wine or our banana bread, but he had never tasted the traditional Maltese bread. And so, wow, winner. And or we had this summer, we had this mommy, she came to Malta, she told us in the booking process that her children are fans of Peppa Pig, and so like, what is there in Malta to do which is Peppa Pig related? Guest experience team took note and they just left them like Peppa Pig stickers in her welcome basket, so more personalized, right? And you know what they say, Damien, it's like happy kids, great review.
Happy kids equals happy parents, for sure.
So sometimes it's like travelers, our guests give us so many clues that if we're just a bit more alert on like what they're saying and what they're asking, we can really turn this round into, I like short-term rentals. They made me feel special.
You would certainly not get it providing Peppa Pig.
And that also ties into the type of people, I think what we've learned through our startup journey, the type of people who should be working in the short-term rental arena, right? Should they be people with like a strong hospitality background? That's how we started. But then these people, whether they're junior or senior, they get very overwhelmed that we have like 250 properties scattered all over the place and not in one building. At this point, it would be very easy for us to manage all these properties had they been in all one space. Mm-hmm. So that's hospitality people. Or are they ready to like make changes? And how guest first are they? So when we are recruiting people who are like working at concierge or reception, they're very formal. People ask for information and they give it to them. So they're very like on point. But are they interested in creating that magic? Not always. So we're looking for the curious. We're looking for the very people who are very people-centric and very passionate about, getting creative in guest experience. Yeah.
So you've mentioned a couple of times now that your company has scaled. You've got 250 plus units, which is amazing. Would you be at liberty to tell us a couple of mistakes potentially that you yourself or the company have made along the way? Because we always like to share the good and the true stories and how we can improve.
For sure. Okay, and I actually made a little list.
Okay, good. We've only got a certain amount of time, though, Sab.
Sure. Listen, we fail, we learn, right? So that's the only way to really learn. And again, in this industry, if we're not going to challenge and test, it is going to be mediocre and not magical. And at one point, if we're not careful, it's really going to be a price war with hotel, right? So it's all about how to distinguish ourselves. And so, we need to think different. So if I had to turn back time, right, again, hindsight 2020 vision, I think we would have established early on the type of traveler that we want for our collection of properties, because that would have helped us determine more what we want our portfolio to look like. So this live like a local developed organically in our short-led journey. Between year 1, year 2, year 3, we started to feel a bit more confident in it because we started to understand that we can really fill a gap. Okay. Also, our direct booking journey, I think it would have been very smart for us to invest more in it in the start and creating our tribe as well, because we are doing so much when it comes to trying to be different in guest experience that we could have made a very much stronger impact. And I think one of the greatest weaknesses we have at the moment is we're not strong on social as much as we want to be. We're changing that over the next few months. We're very, very, very laser focused on building our portfolio rather than attracting travelers. And again, only because we had the comfort of knowing that it's like tourists keep choosing Malta year after year, right? The island beats our own records year after year. So it's like people come easy. Now it's about kind of trying to decide who our discerning traveler really is and why they want us rather than we want them. I think in the beginning, we were very much into making our places look like a hotel. So I would say less hotel-like places and more lifestyle spaces. I think in the beginning we were a bit not ready to kind of test as much. And again, because we weren't in the beginning trusted by as many property partners that we are now, right? In being a bit more quirky or interesting when it comes to how we style our spaces, we wanted to play safe. Earlier integration with tech. And again, we did this because, as I said before we started, thanks to scale in particular, we have created so many fantastic collaborations with tech brands, which have tremendously helped us grow. And again, in the case of guest experience, really become the brand that we want to be remembered for. I think one more thing we did was very much on focusing on operational excellence. Again, it's not a mistake, right? But we were slowly becoming very vanilla, as they say. We were becoming very, okay, all properties look and feel the same. It's like a multiplier effect, basically. And so there, looking back, obviously, had we not realized that, like, okay, let's challenge this. Why is the guest even choosing us? You know, when Airbnb was created, like 16, 17 years ago, like they were a travel type, right? They were choosing Airbnb. Like, why? And so even in this journey now of booking.com, for example, right, we still see the difference, like the expectations of travelers who are coming via booking.com. They like looks like a hotel, feels like a hotel, you know. We'll look at a property and we'll say, okay, this is going to be a champion on Airbnb, or this will be a really good property on Expedia, for example, you know. So now we know more of what channels can deliver for us as well, the type of travelers that. So again, so those were a few mistakes, learnings, common, I guess, to all.
Yeah.
And again, this Damien, and I really feel strongly about this, that property managers, we used to feel like property managers because that's what you guys and everyone call us. And really, we are so like major players in hospitality. And I just want to drill that in everyone's mind
we
as much as I can.
We need to change some of our terminology then.
Just a friendly recommendation.
You mentioned that you've made a lot of technological partnerships when growing your business, and you met some of them at scale. Are there any particular services or brands or anything that you could just not do without?
Not do without Price Labs. One.
Yep.
Our dear friends at Guesty. For sure. Yep. They have again, and we are also their dynamic of how, and again, I come from a tech brand as well, right? So I resonate very well with tech companies. And I was very curious to see how tech brands in the short-term rental space are acting, looking, and feeling, right? So if you go to Web Summit, will you see an STR tech brand there? Right, that was interesting for me. And we are really enjoying our discussions with Boom. I think up and coming. I think they're on the ball. I love that it's from property managers for property managers, because that's what it's really all about, right? If they're going to solve problems, they need to have actually lived through the challenges to be able to. So I think, just to mention a few for sure, those three and the people behind the brands are cool, because I think they are also the visionaries of these industries.
Absolutely. Yeah. I got a couple of final questions just to ask you. You hinted at maybe some international growth at the start of the conversation. Is that the plan? And in terms of, say, the next 12 to 18 months, what are the...
I would love that. Yeah, that's what we're working towards. Okay, that's what we're working towards for sure. Malta is always going to be our base. It's a beautiful island. It's the beginning of the short-term rental journey here. And so there's a lot of work that we need to do for Malta as well when it comes to, again, short-term rental as part of our hospitality offering here. So Malta is really important, and we have a target number of properties that we want to have in Malta, and not just a target number, but also a type of property now, which of course, through our experience of interacting with travelers, data, right? Because data is everything. And also the types of properties that we now feel people will enjoy more if they come to Malta, especially in off-peak seasons, right? As we said before, it's like we have 11 months of summer, so we can be really strong in autumn, winter time. So there's a gap there for our islands. And also with what are people doing when they're getting here? I don't think as Malta we're doing enough, because we promote the obvious places, but there are some really great off the beaten track experiences. Basically, what you don't find on Google. That is what I want to give the Zzzing traveler, right? So there. But then my personal challenge in my career would be to grab everything that we have created here and replicate that in a similar type of environment in another country, of course, with their own strengths when it comes to hospitality, when it comes to deliverables, when it comes to their hidden secrets of what a tourist should enjoy when they visit there. So still with the concept of live like a local, right? But just in a neighboring island, I think, because we're island people.
Mhm.
And I think it would be easier to work with like-minded island people rather than obviously talent from other nations who think we do things in a very Mediterranean way.
Good point. What separates island people from the mainland?
Oh my goodness. I will say we are vibrant, and we'll leave it at that. No. But you know what? Zzzing, and we're really proud of this, has become such a multicultural team at this point. We have talent from all over the world, whether it is India or Serbia or Pakistan or Malta or Colombia or Portuguese. And what I love about this is that what brings us all together is we all love traveling. And so it becomes easy when you just say, how do I want to be treated? This is exactly how our guest wants to be treated. And so bringing all these cultures together, in our home base, Malta, and saying we're making a difference in hospitality. Well, that's why I love my job.
That's wonderful. Well, look, I have so many other questions to ask, Sab, but I'm going to leave it there. I think that's a wonderful final note. If anybody wants to get in contact with you or the Zzzing team, how should they do so, Sab?
Okay, LinkedIn, best. So either LinkedIn or our website, zzzing.com. They'll find all basically our contact information there as well. And we will definitely see you at the next Scale event. We're very excited about that. It's in our calendar.
Super. Sab, thank you so much. It was great to chat to you today. See you soon.
Thank you, Damien. Take good care.
Bye-bye.